Our next poet is going to be Ben Kline. He's originally from the farm valleys of the West Appalachian foothills, but he now lives in Cincinnati, Ohio. He's a poet, storyteller, a Madonna mega fan podcaster, and an information professional. Ben is the author of chapbooks Sagittarius A and Dead Uncles, which is somewhere behind me in the bookcase, and I can't find it. I moved and I still haven't organized all my books, as well as the collections It Was Never Supposed to Be by Variant Literature, another one called Twang by ELJ Editions, and a collection of 14 poems, Stiff Wrist, which we talked about the cover of a little earlier. Ben co-founded and helps run the Poetry Stacked series. You'll see the logo right behind him at the University of Cincinnati, and he co-hosts the MLVC podcast. His work has appeared in Poet Lore, Copper Nickel, Florida Review, Hayden's Ferry Review, Poetry, and other publications. Welcome, Ben Kline.
Everybody. Thank you for having me back. I had to look it up and be like, when was the last time I read with SoFloPoJo? And it was 2021. So it was 4 years ago, shortly after Dead Uncles came out. Kevin, I have to say, that reading was spectacular. I am not a lapsed Catholic. I am a canceled Catholic. So I greatly appreciated all that sort of historical Catholicism distilled into poetry. That was wonderful. And it actually has inspired me to sort of completely rearrange what I was going to read and how I was going to read tonight, because I'm going to actually start with Twang, which actually touches on religion in several poems. And those are the poems I'm going to start with. So we're going to travel through time. We're going to do Twang, which is like the 80s in Appalachia. Then we're going to go through It Was Never Supposed to Be, which is Don't Ask, Don't Tell to Obergefell. And then Stiff Wrist, which is just when your body starts to ossify and life starts to change and we're stuck in this weird moment that we're in. And it's like, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to make a cocktail and not worry too much about it. So, all right. I, I'm not going to read that. I was going to read that when I changed my mind already. Um, So from Twang, we're going to actually start in the middle of the book. And this is a poem that was published in 5 South called Second Cousin. Two boys from our town branch slipped under in the preacher's grip, holding what he told us about bones in the pond muck, holding back tears their fathers would belt dry. He held them, repeating their names till they gargled back to life. Praise be! Red mud gushing out their noses. Everyone on the shore clapped. Praise be! I kept my switchblade quiet, eyes wide in the muck. His viper splitting the ripples, sawgrass, our zippers, and cheap cigarettes by the quarry. Like danger, I wanted to be believed. The skinny dip. See, the preacher had changed, though I knew he hadn't. Everyone watching had my last name, knew the same dead too. I knew we were bones. Praise be. If anyone parted the water, would they see what happened to us? I was raised Catholic, but I went to school with a whole bunch of Free Will Southern Baptists and Kojics, and I used to go to tent revivals and have myself a very good time. Um, Next, I'm going to read the one of the longest poems I've ever written. It is 4 pages in the book, and it is inspired by the AIDS crisis and Shakespeare and George Michael and the Catholic Church, and it is called Damn Spots. Act 1. I'm sweating out a paper about Lady Macbeth. Mom enters, pulls off her headphones. Your Uncle John has AIDS and he's going to die. Read my lips, no new taxes, but it feels like home. Shotguns always loaded under the seat. Cousins told what to say to deputies. Mom saying my uncle, not her baby brother. Locking her bedroom door before 9. I'm turning pages, remixing Express Yourself choreography with A.C. Bradley citations. My thesis navigates the queen as another weird sister advocating unwise choices. Act 2. Midnight relaxes into ruin, hurly-burly and poppers, George Michael in my ears. Sometimes love can be mistaken for a crime. I'm under my sheets, filling a sock while everyone else sleeps, knowing I'm knuckled out of heaven because, like John, I can't keep it to myself. I can't stay too full of milk without ambition for more. Not mom never lets me leave the farm too long. More golden rounds of skinny dippers leaving the lake at sunset, a tin of mints chastising my tongue's curl inward toward cracked remarks. I'm saying Lady Macbeth's a queer totem, someone special, someone sacred. In my conclusion, ambition for more than John's going to die. Did his lovers understand or make themselves air? Did he or they do enough? Act 3. My paper earns an A. Mrs. Fisher floats a red question mark over Dame Judy Dench, compliments my framing of the queen as a diva fevered with her failure to go solo. I want to solo where no one knows. A letter from John arrives, says he's fine, fever and nausea passing. Mom hasn't left her room. I'm still thinking about the knives, how she took the time to smear the blood over their faces, raising the stakes without planning the consequences, the folly of being too sure. I want to knock on the door. I want to call my uncle. I want to write a dozen short replies, my paper enclosed. Are we more than our mistakes? I rip them up, ride my bike past the rest area to the lake, the rock shelter he once mourned me. Act 4. I'm burning ladybug wings and pubic curls over squirrel tail in a boulder's pock behind the old coal furnace. A twig added to the fire for every fool who wishes villainy on any queen. Day and night, O wicked deed, with many names here I seed. Falwell weeping at Helm's knees, Wildman covered in Phelps' fleas. May Swaggart help you masturbate, may Roy Cohen meet you at Hell's Gate. Pray to Reagan, pray to fate, in the Lakewood, for love's sake. The smoke draws men from murky oak shade. I see how they see me, treachery youth commits, dawning a new face every year. Their journey is thick, loneliness trying to fancy itself. They want to kiss my thighs, raise their truth without meeting my eye, held together until the billow unfurl. Mom leaves her room to go to town for groceries. The men leave, home to wives and deaf pillows, their done deeds undone. Don't they know my dirt tongue sops the blood off their faces? Act 5. Trouble wrings its hands in thunder at Memorial Day picnic. Damned spots climbing John's neck, feeling like home, unwashed by the downpour, taking us to the basement, to the kingdom come, to patchouli spritz on the cassette case he hands me. I turn it over, the scent inside Madonna's bejeweled navel, a dream of me standing alone in the pines. Those men and queens calling my name, holding John's arm in the rain. The legions say he picked up the knives. Yes, slid them inside, his mouth opened wide. Everyone must stand alone. And this perfume can't sweeten the poison in his blood. I wonder how it tastes. A pansy stain in royal shades, a crown I don't want to wear. All right, I'm going to read one more. I got to watch my time. I'm going to read one more from Twang. It's full of melodic prose poems, and this one appeared in Pithead Chapel and is called A List. The priest said, any boy with a lisp has forsaken God. He cupped an ear with his hand, listened for the devil's breath sliding through the fork of his tongue. I nodded like several nearby uncles, turned my missile to the Sanctus. I'd kept my tongue against my teeth for years. Hold 'em by the neck and press your thumbs into their unripe apple. He never explained why God would abandon anyone, or why it was the devil's breath. When I asked my Aunt Marie, she leaned on her hoe, shifted her wide brim, as if she might see the answer falling. The good Lord tries his best, hun. Some sinners just enjoy the ruin too much. I knew it wasn't ruin. When the salt stings, it means you're still alive. All right, now we're going to transition to It Was Never Supposed to Be from variant literature. Oh, I don't remember how much of this has a whole lot of religion in it, but it probably does. But this is a very long book, and you know what? Let's just be totally random. I have to read the opening poem because it's one of my favorites. It's called It Was Never Supposed to Be Ours. Our uncles were silent and buried. The internet infant. Drag queens still use names like Fonda Peters, and bowls of free condoms glowed on the bar of the driftwood when I promised to keep you safe, supplied with Twizzlers and good gin, warm, not sweaty, when we spooned nude, your body like the long L of my last name, under yours when we signed the lease. Cousins, we told the landlord. We had no idea. How could we, under all the eulogies, waterfalls buffering one line at a time, your reverend calling us fags, Clintons resembling hope, maybe change when you unlock the door. It's musty, but it's ours. That old attic with two windows. We had no idea. Our uncles marched into graves our grandmothers left no lilies on. You made me banana pancakes, crispy bacon, and a decent proposal. The tungsten ring in my mimosa, a blue wish I wanted to shout when it touched my lips. I like that song. I don't want to read politics, even though I like that Clinton song. Oh, goodness. Uh, you know what? Since we were talking about politics earlier in our current state, I'm going to go back to a time when the current state felt familiar. And this is Massachusetts recognized legal same sex marriage 10 days before my 30th birthday. And a pack of color popped frats chased their marry this faggot with several unfinished long necks hurled over the patio chart rail. One hit Paul in the back, two broke on the bricks, dousing my slides, nicking my heel, but I'd suffer worse at queer kickball. I lobbed two middle fingers, my swirled froyo halfway over the boxwood, but Slicky wanted to leave immediately. It feels so unsafe. He didn't know past headlines, didn't watch Fox or read Drudge like I did every lunch break. I wanted to know who recast us as the villains the way Pat Robertson blamed us for 9/11, how Karl Rove swift voted us into a Voldemort whisper. Our moms would vote to keep second class. Freedom was a feeling held above us, and Slicky couldn't feel it under the hoots and hollers echoing toward the tavern known for girls from the suburbs getting roofied. It is, was, and always will be unsafe, I told him, drying Paul with a fistful of napkins, wondering if I'd ever upheave their hate long enough to relax, to tend to a boyfriend who'd last long enough to maybe live with, maybe marry under a mulberry in the corner of the city cemetery where they hid many uncles who died by 29. who would have warned us about the voice of the people, the sanctity of their desire to never see us. In the car, we collapsed into hugs. NPR reporting about Mayor Newsom marrying gay couples in San Francisco. Paul turned off the radio. We cried the entire drive home. All right, let's get romantic for a minute. Fire Island. I know if you know anything about Fire Island, there's nothing romantic about it, but this poem is very romantic. Cobalt, he says, around us molecules forget to hush. The sea lashes our ankles. I remember the first time we met here, I lied. His hazel eyes ablaze. Do you ever worry? I hear our past race ahead, geese and gulls abandoning the pines. It's there, but we can't see. It blinds the moon. It hasn't been seen for a week. Why do we oxidize our best parts? This path leads to ruin he won't claim. I will miss you. All right, I feel like that's all been really sad and depressing, and I need to read something funny, so I'm gonna find something funny. Oh, that's something. Okay, here's funny. I've totally veered off of religion. Sorry. I'm just gonna read something funny. Science and culture advance one gay wedding at a time. All the sex, matter, and energy remaining too much. An endless red rover of lovers I can't name, racing for more space and my time. I always go back to lovers, don't I? Several hundred one-offs and a dozen boyfriends in rows categorized by columns like scent or new and or unusual fetishes. And then I blame them for taking my energy, every matter too much, trying to experience my every open end like a quantum event, innumerate possible outcomes. But I only get invitations to midweek three ways and all weekend ceremonies instead of the thrill of anonymity I wish lasted longer. Of course, I'm not dismissing progress. Marry at will, queers. I'm here for new forms of fucking, gay retirement on Saturn's moon, graphene space speedos, free young minds, undoing traditions and mores, multiplying former pioneers like canaries in the gate, while I'm in the feckless grip of waiting for new lovers to touch, who touch me back, send them over. They can attend my wedding. They can tux, dance shirtless at the reception. They can expend energy on fake names, but I know the formula for light speed, scrolling my spreadsheet's empty cells. The lovers who lie, who fleeted like diamine ghouls, their last column labeled maybe, maybe not. All right, I'm going to wrap up with a couple of poems from Stiff Wrist. How do I describe Stiff Wrist? It literally, like, I hit 50 and I was like, oh, I'm domesticated. I got a boo for years, but I still want to go places and have a drink and be social and be seen. And so it's reckoning with like how your scene changes and invisibility and aging and every pop, crack, and snap that happens when you step up out of the bed. Um, yeah, so all right, I'm gonna finish on Humpback. Okay. Any Young and the Restless fans in the house tonight, you're in for a treat because this poem references Catherine Chancellor, my beloved Jean Cooper. I grew up watching Young and the Restless because it was on during lunchtime on the farm. We always got to watch the first 45 minutes where we'd have to go out and either shovel shit or bale hay. And this is inspired by Catherine. It's called Décolletage. Catherine Chancellor emerged from her donut of bandages weeks after her on screen facelift, still not young, but defiantly restless, her bejeweled talons clawing the gauze, Esther keeping the mirror too far to break. Maybe it didn't happen that way. The clips online don't contain the entire scene anymore. I recall Victor and Jack helping her keep it a secret, but my memory, like my decolleté, has begun to crinkle like hers, even after the lift and lasers. All the cream and silicone seals I apply, it's still rivulets of thirsty flesh, a papyrus on which time writes the saddest lines about my 50 years of breakups and tank tops. I'm so imposed to embrace my leathery cover and fill it with tales of the farm, our 12-hour days baling hay, fixing fence and steers, flooding groundhog burrows with the honey wagon, our only break an hour for lunch, with Catherine cackling about her latest scheme against Jill, her hair shellacked to impervious perfection, as she tells Victor the whole tale, calling him my boy the same way he says it to every lackey he employs. Ugh, how I wanted a man to talk to me like that. Maybe more than I want to rejuvenate my neck and restore buoyancy to my chest and cheeks, to continue to know desire outlasts every crack I spackle in the mirror so close I can't fake who I've become for who I want to be. All right, I'm just going to read two more from this one. Oh, I'm going to read the centerpiece poem, Middle Aged About Love, After Young and in Love by Todd Diller. I know how to live. I've tried everything twice, including dubstep, both of my husbands, and gas station Merlot. Despite our uncles all dying of AIDS, I strutted through the unmarked bar doors, watched old bullies come out on the dance floor. I kissed strangers to taste their other lovers. I know how I sing. Over 50 and wagging. But love is a verb. Do it to enjoy it. Use your imagination, your body indoors and out, even your feet, if you're into that. Let your arms act like eyes. Let your lips cast a spell. Fling it on the floor with your going out thong on the first date or forever. It doesn't matter. Do it like you might not get to again. All right, I'm going to finish up with my favorite poem from this book, and it's called Humpback. A clickbait banner claims cougar is the most searched type of porn, making it my lucky year to turn 50, to turn away the young men who follow my crow's feet across the room at fundraisers and wedding receptions, their arms jostling my lumbar saddlebags, their hellos mimicking the nod they give their grandpas and sugar daddies. My college friends email 80s lyrics as if I'd forget, and someone in the group thread insists we're jaguars. I'd rather be a giraffe or a salamander, bright spotted and unconcerned about losing my tail, about aging or sex we try to maintain after gravity and DNA decide our knees no longer can. But jaguars know the risks of serenade tryst, late nights unkind to our waning digestion. Our fate, another says, is an idea given to us, a meme we shouldn't ever like, a dew claw never touching the ground, enough to know how flesh gives. Maybe I'd rather be a humpback, crooning across the seas, unaware of the time I spend eating my weight, yet pleased by the occasional backflip, wowing watchers in the bay. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate being given the time and space.
Fantastic, Ben. Thank you so much. Your poems are always a delight. And that last one was a perfect way to end a great evening of poetry from Kevin and you as well. Thank you both so much for being here.